friends coming in. I got Casey. I got Keith. We're ready to rock and roll here. So what's going on, Casey?
Nothing much, nothing much. Just got back in the house from about an hour and a half drive from Daytona. Got here about 5 minutes ago, so nothing too crazy.
Okay. Well, that's always great. I saw you were by Daytona. They only make left turns only when you're driving. Do you make right turns or do you just go around the
Made a lot
block
of
until you
a
figure it
lot of
out?
stops with the traffic. I can tell you that was the problem. But a lot of this, and this, and this.
Yeah, that's not good. I think my man Keith's having some audio problems right now, but he's there. Keith, he writes for the We Like Sports podcast and everything, and I'm gonna try to bring him on right now, see where he's at. Keith, can you hear us? Can anybody hear you? Well, I guess not. But Keith's here. Maybe he'll try to figure that out. But I keep losing people. Maybe it's a reflection of
No,
me here.
I'm still here.
Okay, Casey, I haven't left Casey. That's good to know. That's good
You're
to know.
not losing me.
What's the weather like in Orlando today? I'm always curious about the weather.
Very rainy today. So I started about I'd say noon, and it's been raining all day.
Okay.
Down there as well as in Florida, in Orlando as well as in Daytona.
Okay.
So, but yeah, humid as hell like usual.
We're nice and sunny and beautiful in the capital city of Ohio. We're about 83 degrees. So not to brag, but summer is really, really nice here. And we had a bunch of rain the last couple of days, but it's not too bad. But
I prefer summer in Cleveland over summer in Florida.
Well, I don't blame you. So what's one hot take you got for us to start the show off? And anything you got? It's the Guardians are 45-45, but they're in first place, as Ed Breakhead News has told everybody.
Correct. I heard.
Yeah, that's what we try to do around here, inform the people, the masses, is what they would say. But yeah, your thoughts. I see you got your Guardians gear on. What are your thoughts?
A hot take would be here. I think that Oscar Gonzalez will not be on our team until David Fry starts to suck. I think what they should do is move Arias down and bring Gonzalez up. But the one thing I was just talking before I came on, I was talking to somebody. Look at Gonzalez to start the year, right? He didn't get that much steady playing time. Struggled a lot, right? Struggled a ton. Move him down to AAA. Look at him now, right? He's playing every day, getting every day at bats, and producing that well. So it's tough for them, I feel, to bring Gonzalez back up because if he can't get consistent playing time, what's the use of having him up? Right? Now, he could solve our problem like last year, towards the end of the year, we brought him up and he was a big part of our run. So it could be the same situation this year because, like we've talked about, I think when we first started doing the show, nothing like 3, 4, 5 months ago. Yeah. Every year, the Guardians don't make too many moves at the trade deadline, usually bullpen help. And they get one or two guys from the minors that step up that, didn't expect to step up in that time when we needed to.
Right. So basically, they're doing what they usually do. They're staying around about 500 and to make their late season run and get into the playoffs.
But has it worked in the past? Has it worked to the result we want? It's worked to get to the playoffs, but again, like we said before, the Yankees. It's like a brick wall you hit.
But they could be on fire, and then you reach the playoffs, and then you reach a hot team. Like I always go back to the '97 Tribe, and they only won 86 games, and they went to the World Series. But without further ado, we have Jeff Fletcher on. Hi, Mr. Fletcher, Angels beat writer. And all that fun stuff. SoCal News Group, author of Showtime, the inside story of Shohei Ohtani and the greatest baseball season ever played. Welcome to the We Like Sports show. How's it going?
Right. Good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem at all. And I did a Breakhead News segment where I said your Angels are limping in to the All-Star game or All-Star break, I should say, and some injuries going on. So, what is the current state of the Angels? Obviously, you got Shohei Ohtani, which we're going to mention a lot. You got Mike Trout, but you don't have first place finishes. You don't have playoff appearances.
You don't have second. You don't have third. Yeah.
I'll let you explain. So what is the current state of the Angels? And do you see them making moves at the All-Star break or doing anything because I know Shohei's a free agent at the end of the year, and what might happen with him?
Well, things were going really well about 10 games ago. They were 8 games over 500. They were right in a playoff spot. and they had some guys injured too. So they were really looking like, hey, when we get these guys back, things are going to be even better. And then they went 1-9. It's been pretty much a disaster. They played terribly for the last 10 games. And now they're 5 games out of a wild card spot. And Mike Trout's hurt. Brandon Drury's hurt. Anthony Rendona's hurt. Joe Adell's hurt. Zach Neto is hurt. Gio Urshela's out for the year. Logan O'Hoppy's out for another, month and a half maybe. So it's not looking great. But they still are not going to give up. As we speak today at the All-Star break, they still feel like, they could just turn it around and get right back in it and have a chance to contend. And what they really want to do is re-sign Ohtani next year. So they feel like if they trade him away, that really maybe doesn't close the door 100%, but it closes it a lot. And so they want to keep that door open to try to re-sign him. So
well, CJ, one of our hosts, usually he's not here today, but he had a question for me that I have to ask you. And basically says, obviously if they do move Ohtani, obviously that's signaling that maybe a rebuild. But if they miss the playoffs, they don't sign Ohtani. Do you see them moving on from Trout? Do you see a complete blow up of the team basically if that would to happen?
I mean, they can't really move on from Trout. Trout's hard to trade because of where he is in his career and his salary and his injuries lately. So if you trade Trout, you would be doing it just for the salary relief. Okay. You wouldn't be doing it to get like a whole ton of prospects back. And what the Angels need is they need the talent. They don't.
They do a kind of contract with Giancarlo Stanton with the Marlins, and they had him too. It was tough to find a team that would take that contract for a player.
Right, or like Nolan Arenado when the Rockies traded him, they didn't get back like a ton of talent, but they just got rid of a lot of the contract. Yeah. So you're looking at more of that kind of thing than like Juan Soto type trade where it's he was under control and he was cheap and he was good. So you get like a whole ton of players back. So you wouldn't be that. And Trout's got a no trade clause, so he would have to want to go. So that's not a thing that's going to happen.
Also, too, I always say with the Angels and being in Southern California, with the Dodgers, obviously you just got done, having a series with them. Is it obviously there's never going to be that fully rebuild because obviously with the Dodgers and you're trying to compete Artie Moreno and trying to compete with them, it's hard to put up the white flag and say we're going to try to surrender and get these draft picks and all this stuff because you have to compete in that market and everything. So does that make it harder, you think, for the Angels because you have the Dodgers that, it's like with the Mets and you have to try to compete with them financially. And it's just like, how do you tell your fan base who could go, obviously, and I'm not saying root for the Dodgers instead of the Angels, but you got to stay competitive to a point where it's hard for a complete rebuild in a situation as Southern California is. So does that make, if you were the GM of the Angels, that would make your job a lot harder, would you say?
Well, I mean, it's the ownership decision, really. And Artie Moreno has never really been the kind of guy that's willing to just say, all right, we're going to take a couple years off and try to redo this. So it's just never going to happen. And, when they had Mike Trout, in his prime, you wouldn't want to do that. You wouldn't want to say, oh, we've got this, future Hall of Famer, but we're just going to trade away everybody else and take a couple years out of his career and just not be good. So you don't want to do that. And you don't want to trade him away either. Right. So they were kind of in a tough spot there for a few years. And now it's kind of a tougher spot because he's getting older. So their hope now is just that their farm system is going to start being productive. And there are some encouraging signs right now, but, not enough.
Okay. Yeah. Well, as a Guardians fan, we always love the prospects, but we have the luxury of obviously being a smaller market team. And, one thing with the Guardians, we have the pitching, we just never have the hitting. And it's just, I would love a player like Shohei Ohtani. I do have $1 million question for you. And if I don't ask you now, I'll forget. So my $1 million question to you is, and it's probably more than 1 million considering what Shohei Ohtani's salary is going to be, but Ohtani's pitching to Ohtani. What happens?
Well, I mean, generally speaking, the pitcher is always going to have the advantage. So the best hitter is going to still make an out 7 out of 10 times. So I'm going to say that Ohtani is going to win that matchup as a pitcher.
Okay. Well, there's no right or wrong answer, but I would say with percentages, and it's funny how, you can fail 7 out of 10 times and still be a Hall of Famer. That's why we love baseball so much. So I've been doing a little homework on you. I know that you have some Ohio ties. Now you went to Ohio University, the prestigious Scripps, the School of Journalism. Yes. Obviously, Tony Grossi, writer for the Browns, went there. But what part of Ohio are you actually from? Like, just curious.
I'm actually from Athens.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah, I grew up. My dad was a history professor at OU.
Oh,
so I was born in Athens and grew up there. So
okay. Now, I just want to let you know that I graduated from the Ohio State University. I have no problems with the Ohio Bobcats until your mascot took out Brutus Buckeye, like I believe in 2010 or 2011 during a game. I don't know what that assault on the field.
One of my favorite moments ever.
Yes, I figured it would be.
The great thing about that story is the guy who was the OU mascot was not even actually an OU student.
Oh,
he just wanted to tackle Brutus, and he planned it like a year and a half in advance.
Well,
he got himself. He tried out to be the mascot and got himself on the team a year and a half before that game, so he could do that. And he wasn't even a student because he knew like right after he did it, he was going to be like kicked off. So it was just like it was an awesome conspiracy that he planned. So
yeah,
I love that.
If only our government.
The little things in life, some people get so bothered about, you know.
Well, that's the thing. I always say this about Ohio, and one thing about like people from Ohio, we all love each other, we all stick up for each other, and everything like that. But there are a little bit of some Ohio State bias. You either love Ohio State or you don't love Ohio State. So when I found out you were a Bobcat, I wanted your perspective on that. So, but I always say I have no problem with the Bobcats. I love it when they make their NCAA tourney runs and basketball and things like that. And Gary, I'm an old guy, so I remember Gary Trent, the Shack of the Mac.
Oh yeah.
So.
He was good.
He was very good. But so you've covered baseball since 1997 and it worked in over 40 press boxes. A question for you is, what are some of your favorite ballparks around Major League Baseball for whatever reason? I mean, you know, I know obviously the iconic ones, but what are yours for whatever different reasons? Fun reasons, personal reasons, anything like that?
San Francisco, I think Oracle Park is what they're calling it now. Is probably my number one. It's just a really nice setting, you know, you can see the water and it's got all the amenities of a brand new ballpark, and it's intimate, you know, it's not like really big, and it definitely, like when you sit there and look out on the field, you 100% know that's where you are. There's no question about any other ballparks, and that's my number one. I like San Diego too, which I just was there a few days ago. Minnesota, Seattle, Pittsburgh, those are kind of my top
What do you think
5.
about Cleveland? What about Cleveland?
Cleveland's somewhere in the middle. It's fine. Okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I do like Cleveland as a city. I stick up for Cleveland as a city a lot more than a lot of my colleagues in the baseball writing world, because it's a lot. I tell them, you know, you should have been there like 20 years ago. It's way better now. So you shouldn't bag on Cleveland too much.
Yeah, well, they're redoing Progressive Field. I still call it Jacobs Field. It'll always be the Jake to me, but they're supposed to be spending like $350 million and renovating like the press boxes and other areas of the stadium. So hopefully in the next couple of years, you'll put it up there higher on your list and everything like that. But I always find that. So, you know, it says that you, as an American, have covered Shohei Ohtani more than any other American out there. And so my question to you is, because I remember when it was Ichiro Mania back in the early 2000s and everything. So what is it like to cover him? Is he, I mean, I'm sure he's probably pretty guarded and everything, but obviously you've got to see him more than anybody. What do you say about him? Like, what kind of person is he? Is he strictly business, or can he have some fun as well? Or just try to, you know, let the audience know a little bit about Shohei that they didn't know before?
Well, first of all, he is very guarded. It's hard to really get to know him because he doesn't really talk to the media very much. It's just after he pitches, basically, and it's through an interpreter. So you know, and I think he's kind of boring to begin with. He's intentionally doesn't really want to show you his true what's going on inside of him. But you do see when he's, you know, talking to his teammates or on the field, he is having a good time. He's got a good sense of humor. He's pretty lighthearted. There was my favorite incident last year where he was in a little bit of a hitting slump and he started doing CPR on his bat in the dugout. So that was kind of a funny thing that just sort of showed his personality. Yeah. He jokes around with other players on other teams even. So he definitely has a really good time playing baseball. He enjoys, you know, what he's doing. It's not like super stressful, I don't think, to him. But as far as when we actually talk to him in the media, he's not really like joking around with us very much, or, you know, telling us stories about his childhood or any of that kind of thing.
I'm curious. Like when I look at him, I mean, maybe it's what makes him so great. Like I look at him. I see baseball players. It's weird because Major League Baseball compared to any other sport, you look at football players, and you can kind of see they're physical freaks. I'm not saying Shohei's not, but with all baseball players, you can look at somebody like a Miles Straw for the Guardians or whatever. Like, oh, he just looks like an average person, but he does this or whatever like that. What is
David
about
Fry.
Shohei that makes him so great?
Well, first of all, just got incredible natural physical talent.
Okay.
You start with that. That's he's pretty much on top of the scale in terms of that. But then beyond that, he really is has a really high baseball intellect in terms of seeing what when something goes wrong, he's able to figure it out and fix it. And that's a very important skill you have to have in the major leagues because everybody's out there trying to figure out how to beat you. And for him to keep changing things, to keep adjusting, is an incredible talent. And I would say the third thing is he has a really great knowledge of his own body and what he needs to do to maintain his physical level. Like a lot of guys take like a ton of batting practice, a lot of pitchers throw a lot, and he obviously can't do all that because he's doing two jobs and there's just not as many hours in a day and he would kill himself. But he's figured out the absolute perfect amount of swings he needs to take, perfect amount of throws he needs to take to maintain his ability without burning himself out. And that is just a huge, difficult balance to
So
reach.
you're saying it's efficient. He's efficient.
He's very efficient. Yes.
Okay. So I was wondering this because obviously he's going to sign a huge contract in the offseason with whoever. I mean, hopefully it's the Angels because look, I'm all for a person sticking with the team. I hate when fans get brokenhearted over a player leaving. In Cleveland, I've seen it too many times. So if it's not going to be with the Guardians, which obviously he's not going to play for the Guardians, I wish he would stay with the Angels. That's fine because I'm a purist at heart. But so. You see these guys have gotten long-term contracts. Look at Pujols. You look at even A-Rod. They sign these 10-year deals for this insanely amount of money. And that by years 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, the teams are wishing they didn't have this large albatross of a contract. So you're saying with Shohei, because he's so efficient, if I was to give him, I would say it was Artie Moreno or whoever, was to give Shohei a 10-year deal, are you pretty much saying that in years 8, 9, and 10, I'm obviously there's might be some decline. He would be older. Obviously I get that, but you think that his level of play would unlike the others that have kind of failed at that, would you bank on that more than those other guys because of his work ethic and his efficiency? Or you still wouldn't do that anyway?
No, I mean, it's impossible. First of all, nobody's ever done this before.
Yeah.
So I think that his incredible efficiency and work ethic has gotten him here.
Okay.
We have no idea how far it's going to go. He's still gone farther than everybody else. So just what he's done right now is already farther than everybody else. It's impossible to predict. There's no precedent for this. Any free agent, basically any big money free agent is going to end up being a bad deal.
Yeah.
The way you sign a free agent is by basically offering the worst contract.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, really, that's how it works.
I love how you said that. That's
every team is going to offer like a reasonable contract, and the team that offers the least reasonable contract is the one who's going to
win.
Get him. So that's kind of what you're dealing with in free agency. And as great as Ohtani is, in 9-10, I'd be shocked if he's even a two-way player.
Yeah.
So who knows? I mean, he's going to be overpaid then. But the point is that hopefully in the beginning of the contract, you'll more than make up for it if you win the World Series. And
right.
I mean, that's just kind of the way it works.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, so fine. Let's handicap the teams. I mean, obviously the Angels. Is it basically Angels, Dodgers, and if the Yankees? I don't even think the Yankees would even.
I don't think the Yankees really would be.
Boston, maybe.
No, I don't think Boston either. I really can't see him wanting to be in like one of those East Coast media fish bowls. I just don't think that would fit with what his personality is that he's shown us so far. I think he really likes to be left alone and under the radar, and you certainly cannot do that if you're playing for the Yankees or Red Sox. So I would find that hard to do. The one team that I would make an exception for on the East Coast would be the Mets, and that's only because Billy Epler was the GM of the Angels when Ohtani first picked the Angels. So I think that Billy has an understanding of him and a relationship with him that goes beyond what anybody else would have. That being said, the Mets are having a pretty bad year, so Billy Epler might even be gone by then. So then you could probably cross them off too. So I would say you're looking at the West Coast teams, except the A's. So pretty much the other 5 West Coast teams, Mariners, Giants, Angels, Dodgers, Padres, and the Mets. I would say if you give me just those teams, I feel 99% sure that I would be right with one of those.
Now I was reading about it.
I have a question about that answer. So if you were, let's say, the Angels, how do you think you could keep Shohei with them, like the pitch for it, right? Because the pitch for the Dodgers, etc. But for the Angels, what do you think the pitch they would give that would convince him to stay? And what do you think Shohei's looking for in this pitch from the Angels?
Well, I think that Ohtani wants to win. Obviously, every player wants to win. The Angels have to prove to him that they can win. So they've got to finish this year strong, at least, better than they're playing right now. And then they've got to show them that they have a foundation to win in the future. And beyond that, everything else they already have going for him because he's got comfort. He knows everybody. He knows how it works. He's not the easiest guy to just drop into any team because he doesn't pitch on a normal fifth day like another starter. He's only a DH. So say you're the Mets and you've got Pete Alonso and you want Pete Alonso to be your DH someday. Once you have Ohtani, that takes it out. So, other teams would have to make some concessions and would have to do some different things. And the whole media environment that Ohtani's in, where basically doesn't do, interviews hardly at all. He's pretty much left alone. That wouldn't necessarily work the same way with another team. So he knows what he's getting into with the Angels. So he's got all that comfort. So it's the comfort plus the team showing them he can win. And then obviously they got to give him a lot of money.
Yeah. So how much do you, regardless of the team, how much do you think being the total of the contract? Do you think he'll reach 5?
I don't think that. Some people are saying like 600 and crazy stuff like that. I really don't think it's going to go that high because I think that he's more interested in like those other parts of the equation. Is he going to be comfortable? Is the team going to win? And he's not going to just go to the highest bidder. So I think there's going to be, whatever 6 teams, 7 teams that can get in that neighborhood of making him, you only have to go over 426 to be the largest contract. So I think he's going to be able to pass that. So then once you say you're in the upper 4s, lower 5s, then everybody's in the ballpark. You're the highest paid player ever. You don't have to just keep going, probably bidding against each other, because at that point he's going to make the decision based on things other than money.
Yeah. Well, Jose Ramirez took a hometown discount because he liked to stay in Cleveland and he didn't have to learn English and everything. I doubt Shohei and his team are going to obviously take any kind of discount offered. So, I mean, it's nice to see the dynamics of it. And, like I said, I hope he stays with the Angels, but he is covering him. I mean, seeing a two-way player, the Babe Ruth and like you wrote in your book and everything. I mean, it's amazing that he dominates doing both positions. And it's one thing is for baseball players, come up and, little league and they pitch and they hit and get but to do it at the major league level and the way that he's doing it and dominating at doing it, I mean, that's got to be a treat for you to cover and everything. And, to see a generational player, but, a unicorn is what LeBron James probably would call him because he calls, everybody that. But, I mean, that's got to be a treat. But, yeah, I'm interested in you because, like I said, you've covered baseball for so long. And I love to get your historical perspective of it because, one thing about baseball is it's the history of baseball that makes it so rich and so great. So you've covered many World Series. I'm curious. Did you cover the 2016 World Series? And if you did, that one still breaks my heart.
I did not. I did not cover that.
Okay, well, then we don't need to talk about it then because as a Cleveland fan, and I still remember the 90s. I know you got into it in '97, and 1997 World Series still breaks my heart. Game 7, the Indians up 2-1, bottom of the 9th. Jose Mesa comes in. Obviously the Angels too, and now against the Giants, obviously had some heartbreak in the World Series, and I always feel bad for teams that lose World Series in Game 7s. My heart goes out to them. But you covered Barry Bonds. Actually, the Angels won that World Series. I take that back. They won it.
I was actually covering the Giants in 2002.
Oh, see, I knew that's what it was. I got it confused. Yeah, you were on that side of it. That's why I said that last.
But they came back and they did fine. They won 3 and.
Yeah, they came back and won.
A few years later. So
they did quite.
They had a chance to get over it.
So what was it like covering?
Maybe
Barry
eventually
Bonds?
the Indians. Oh, sorry, Guardians. Maybe they'll
No,
win
it's
3
okay.
out of
It's
5
okay.
sometime.
It's okay. You're not going to offend this guy. But yeah, Barry Bonds. What was that like covering him and going through that home run?
Yeah, it was quite a show. He had still, even including Ohtani, Barry Bonds did the most amazing things as a hitter that I've ever seen, to where you just go up and you knew he was going to hit a home run, and he would hit one. I mean, if you look back go to his baseball reference page sometime and just look at the stats from like 2001 to 2004, and his OPS in some of those years was like 1,300, 1,400. But like an on-base percentage of like 600 for a season. It's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable how locked in he was. Obviously, yes, he was on steroids.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. I'm not going to pretend that didn't happen. But still, lots of other guys use steroids. And
the pitchers did too. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was the best player when he was clean, and he was the best player when he was a cheater. So,
well, I always said, if
still
you're going to cheat, you might as well be good at cheating. At least he was good at. I mean, how many players took this seriously? How many players in the MLB took steroids and weren't good? At least he was the best at it. I give him credit there if you're going to do it. What was he like so you covered, so did you interview him? I mean, what was he like as a person? Because I hear these stories about, oh, he's a curmudgeon, he's this or that. But, I'm sure there were times he smiled, right? And was down to earth and fun, right?
Occasionally, but mostly he was not a fun person to be around. He was just, and you really, if you study him a little bit at the way baseball treated his father, you understand why Barry was so anti, the media and so many people, because his father got really a raw deal from a lot of people, racially and from the media and everything like that. So you can see how Barry came up and was very,
standoffish.
Yeah, looked at all of us as like, you guys are all against me. Leave me alone. You're not here to help me, so I don't want to have anything to do with you. And that's pretty much how he treated us.
Okay, now we had now obviously you covered the A's during the Moneyball era, but I want your perspective because we had on Gabriel Hernandez last week from the Bay Area, in Oakland and everything, and he's very passionate. Obviously, being a Cleveland fan from Cleveland, I lost my Browns during a move, and obviously the Oakland A's are going through a transitional stage to go to Vegas, and obviously I think baseball is better having the Oakland A's, just like the Browns are better for being in Cleveland. So, what are your thoughts on the A's, and do you think it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to Vegas, and just what are your overall thoughts as baseball as a whole? Because the Oakland Athletics, I remember them winning World Series. I remember the earthquake in '89 against the Giants and everything. And, they're synonymous with baseball. So what are your thoughts on that situation?
Yeah, I think they're definitely going to Vegas. I think that's the ship has sailed. That's where they're going to be. I think it is unfortunate because there's great fans in Oakland. Yep. There's just not enough.
One was on last week. He is it was the biggest A's fan I've seen.
Yeah, he was.
150.
My son is a huge A's fan because
it's crazy. He was tearing up almost talking about the situation. So it showed us how big
that guy might have some of my bobbleheads. I think I bobbleheads.
Yeah.
So he might. This is really getting off on a tangent, but I had all these bobbleheads that I collected for my son, and then he eventually went off to college. He's like, Dad, I don't have any place for all these bobbleheads. You got to do something with them. And so I just kind of went on the internet. Does anybody want 14 A's bobbleheads? And I found a guy that was basically collects A's bobbleheads. So maybe that was the same guy that you guys
probably might.
It could have been.
There can't be more than one of those people, can there? So,
yeah, right.
I don't know. He had custom ones and everything. It was crazy.
So anyway, yeah, it's a great market, and baseball should be there. So it's unfortunate that it just didn't work out with the city and the fans. I don't know who's to blame. Mostly, I don't think it's any one person.
Right.
But it's unfortunate that they're not going to be there.
Yeah, like I said, I just think it's sad, and I just wanted your thoughts on that. But before it's time, I know you got something at 6:00, but you love poker. I know you love poker. And the World Series of Poker, I know somebody, a friend of mine, was at the World Series of Poker last week. He finished 149th.
That's pretty good.
So I didn't know if you did tournaments or anything like that, or how big of a poker player you were, but
I've played at the World Series of Poker. I've done bracelet events there 15 times or so.
Was Chris Ferguson there?
No, not in any of mine. I played with Mike Matusow.
Oh, I know who that is.
Loudmouth, the Loudmouth,
yeah. I played with him and Huck Seed. I played with TJ Cloutier once.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
And I know you love golf as well. I love golf. I'm glad Ricky Fowler won finally. You know, it was heartbreaking at the U.S. Open. But who are your favorite golfers? And tell us a little bit about your golf game.
I don't really watch too much golf. I like to play occasionally, but I go and like during baseball season, it's really hard for me to play. I was going to try to play during the All-Star break here, and I went to the driving range the other day to kind of get ready for it. And it was terrible. So I don't know. It could be a bad scene, but I do try.
Okay. And my last question for you is because I see you have 2 college-age children. My kids are 17 and 13, so they're getting, they're growing up quick. And I always say, I blink my eyes and I can't believe they're old, old as they are right now. But do you have any advice for me just as growing in the next couple of years? Like, if you could, they're in college now, but should, in living in a household with them before I know they're going to go off and become, adults and humans. Is there any advice you could give me?
Boy, this is not a direction I figured this podcast was going to
go. We like to do life in sports.
Let them make their mistakes when they're young, and the consequences are small.
Okay.
Don't do their homework. Just let them not do it and get in trouble, because they're going to get in way less trouble when they don't do their homework in 7th grade than when they don't do their work when they have a real job. So let them learn there.
Okay, I like that.
That's all I got.
Okay, fair enough. Like I said, I knew you went in this direction of the show, and I saw that. I always like to get personable with our guests, and not too personal. Obviously, I don't want Social Security numbers or anything like that. But I just think that in life, one thing that connects us is sports. But we're all humans. We all have families and everything, and it's just fun to get a different perspective. Because I know I look at your resume, and it's quite impressive. Let the audience know where they can get your book at and everything, and get all your plugs in. Because like I said, having you on the show, it's an honor to have you, and a beat writer in Major League Baseball. That's got to be a thrill. So,
the book's called Showtime: The Inside Story of Shohei Ohtani and the Greatest Baseball Season Ever Played, and it's a whole kind of Ohtani's whole baseball journey, from growing up in Japan through playing in NPB to picking the Angels to the beginning of his major league career, where he was hurt and then he had some bad years, and all of that through the 21 season, which was obviously the greatest baseball season ever played until he did it again. But anyway, you can buy it on Amazon or go to Barnes & Noble or anywhere you buy books. Just type it into Google and it'll pop up. It's easy to find.
Awesome.
And my Twitter is Jeff Fletcher OCR. So if you follow that, you'll see everything that I write about the Angels, and that also has some information on the book too.
Awesome. Well, like I said, you have been an awesome guest. It's great to meet you and everything. And like I said, we'd love to have you back on again when the Angels make the playoffs this year, right? And they signed Shohei Ohtani to a $600 million deal and everything like that. So, it's been a pleasure. It's been a treat. And like I said, go Halos.
All right. Thanks for
having me. Have a good one, my guy.
All right. See you.
See you.
Well, isn't that fun, everybody? Keith, are you alive, Keith? I think that's a yes. Okay, well, I can. Well, Casey, how'd you like that interview? I was nervous. I was doing my reading, and then I basically said the Angels didn't win the World Series, even though they did, because he was covering the Giants at the time. So, what I'm saying? It was a pleasure to have the guy on. And
look, I have a question for you, Ed. What do you think about this?
Yeah.
You look at the Cleveland Guardians, right?
Yes.
Our record is 500.
Right.
You look at the Los Angeles Angels.
Right.
And their record is at 1 game below 500.
Right.
If you view both teams, don't we have a different view of them, even with the almost same record?
And it's because of the division that they're in and everything. And that's the thing with the Guardians. 500 baseball, with Minnesota, Detroit, Kansas City, and Chicago White Sox. Thank goodness for the alignment and the geography of Cleveland.
But what would you say if it was the White Sox in second, us in third, and then the Twins in first? Same record we currently have. How would you feel about us?
Blow it up. No, I mean, when you're sitting on top in first place, no matter what your record is, you're looking down at teams instead of looking up, knowing that if baseball stopped right now, that you would be in the playoffs. I mean, that changes everything, because as a general manager, you don't have to overreact then. I think that if you want to, like you said, to your point, when you're talking about October and trying to compete with Tampa and obviously the Rangers looking and Houston, you're going to have to obviously upgrade the roster somehow, or maybe just get the Gavin Williams,
Williams.
the Tyler Bibes and everything. Maybe they become even better, Logan Allen and stuff. I mean, that's the one thing about the Guardians. They're such a young team that it's kind of like it's fun to let them just play it out. And if you can play it out and still win your division at the same time, and you don't have to go out and make moves and mortgage your future, I mean, that's an added bonus as well. Plus, obviously, with the financial situation of the Guardians, they don't want to spend money or can't. I don't want to say, because I know a lot of the knock on them is they don't want to spend. I don't think it's that. I just don't think it's prudent to go spend money just to spend money. I mean, who are you going to go get? I mean, a lot of times, they don't spend money. Well, who's out there? I mean, really? I mean, so I don't know. So that's my long-winded answer to your question, Casey.
That's fine. There's a question I have about thinking of the Guardians if we were to trade somebody, right? Who do you think we're trading? Highest percentage that you think Bieber, Rosario, Savali, I read online. I don't know about Savali, but they said injury history. But those three guys, or somebody else, what do you think the highest percentage that one or some of them get dealt at this deadline?
Go ahead, Keith. You with us?
Yeah, I'm with y'all.
Yeah, all right, roll with us.
Yes.
My God.
I think, even though I don't think they should do it, I think they'll probably trade Bieber the highest because he'll probably get the most value in return. Like you had just said, Savali's injury history, you'll probably just get some low minor leaguers for him, if anything. And far as Rosario, you might get an upper level minor leaguer, like a AAA prospect or something. But Bieber, you could probably get a bat that could help this lineup, especially in the stretch run. But the only thing you lose with Bieber is that experience. When come October, they'll definitely need on that mound, because you go with three rookies. That'd be kind of dicey being in Yankee Stadium in the playoffs, or going against Toronto or Tampa Bay or even Houston or Texas.
Yeah.
But I think Bieber would net you the most.
So there was things too. I saw that there's a chance that they package Bieber and Rosario, to ensure you get the player you want. Because as you said, if you for just Rosario you get a minor leaguer, that's not going to help you this year. But if you toss him in with Bieber, it might push it a little bit over, so you get a guy from that.
Yes, because Bieber is a quality starter, even though he hasn't really shown it in the last 4 or 5 starts. He's still a quality dude. And I think kind of a lot of it with Bieber's problems is he probably thinks he has one foot out the door and another foot still here. But his future really with the Guardians is basically in limbo, for that matter. And that would be the main attraction, especially to the contender, to get an arm in July, August.
Yeah.
And he's healthy, presumably healthy.
Good. What do you think, Ed?
I echo those sentiments. I think obviously Bieber, because he's, if you're a team looking to actually make a big impact, I mean, he's the guy. If you look at the Guardians rotation that's available, and I think from the Guardians standpoint, you can get the most back from that. So I would definitely say Keith's absolutely 100% right about that. I think that Bieber's thing is his strikeouts are down, but if you look at the innings pitched, look at the earned run average, it's pretty much on par with what it was last year going into the All-Star break. So if I'm a team out there and, especially a team that has a lot of money that can, go out and get rid of prospects, then Bieber's your guy. So I think that. And Savali, like I said, he's been pitching well lately. If I'm the Guardians, I'd want to keep him.
I agree. Because what you're going to get in return is not worth what you're giving up.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
So I have one more thing, and then I want to hop over to the All-Star game, if that's good.
Yeah.
But for the Guardians, what do you think, since we're at halfway point, what do you think the Guardians' record is at the end of the year, right? Because we've seen half the season, what trades you might think we make. What do you think we'll end up at?
Well, I mean, let's see here. I mean, they're 45-45, so that means
you can pull up if you want the last year's.
Well, they won 22. They got 72 games left. Okay, so if they go win 36 of them, that gives you, what I'm saying. So I think they're going to get hot. I could see them winning 88 games and winning the division that way. Like I said, in 97, they won 86 games and won the division and went to game 7 of the World Series. So I don't think this division, I think 87 to 90 obviously would win the division. And I do think the Guardians are going to win the Central. So I'll go 88 wins with that.
Yeah.
Keith,
So
what you got? How many wins the Guardians got?
You think that's a good
I got
number to
about-
win our division?
Yeah.
I got about the same, about anywhere from 86 to 88.
Yeah.
Possibly 86 to 88. Because I did expect them to take a dip down this year in wins due to the schedule. You ain't got to face Detroit 19 times or Kansas City 19 times.
Yeah.
So Chicago 19 times. I got them about 86 to 88. Because like you said, all you got to do is get in.
So do they get it, Keith? That 86 to 88 projected, does that win the division?
Yes. Our division, yes, definitely.
So interesting.
Matter of fact, 83 might win that division.
I was going to say, so interesting fact, I'm looking here. If you look at since 2016, right? End of year, excluding COVID year, because that doesn't count, I would say this factor. We have not been at 80, below 86 one other time. Just one time, 2016. So that'd be our second lowest winning season in the last 8 years. Isn't that crazy?
And that was in 97, yeah.
It's crazy to think how that is. So I said since 2016, we had 94 wins, 102, 91, 93, 80, and 92. So if we had 86, that would be one of the lowest years we had.
I'm not going to apologize, Casey. No apologies needed. Whatever it takes to get
I'm just saying, though. I was just saying, you know.
Hey, check out. Check out. Atlanta was like under 500 a couple of years ago around this time and won the World Series.
Yeah.
Washington was floundering a year before that and came back and won the World Series. All you got to do is get in.
Yep.
And in baseball, Major League Baseball, correct. And the Major League Baseball is unpredictable to pick anyway out of all the sports, as far as basketball, football, whatnot. If your pitching staff gets hot, and if you can get some timely hitting, you got a shot.
That's true.
Because think about this. Judge, don't nobody know if he's going to play again this year. And the Yankees are not hitting the ball off the cover like they usually do in past years.
No, they just fired someone from their coaching staff for the first time.
They fired their hitting coach. Yeah. Then you look at Toronto. They got a lot of hitting, but their pitching is
suspect.
Yeah. Now Tampa Bay got hitting this year, and their pitching is tough. But their main guy, they just put their main guy on a disabled list or something.
Yep.
So
I mean, that's never the thing. Know. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and you know what I'm saying, there's still 72 more games to go. So we'll see what happens. But I know what has to happen now. So Peyton Vince doesn't yell at me. I have to talk about: do you need a pre-workout? The We Like Sports show and Titan Nutrition have teamed up. So head over to TitanNutrition.net/We Like Sports to get 10% off your order. And yes, I will not forget about. And don't forget to check out the Snooze You Lose podcast with Uncle Joe, the Black Bookie.
Yeah, and I got good news about Uncle. I got good news. I bet on his bet $50 on the Blue Jays money line on Sunday. And
I had that written down. Yes, the Blue Jays 4-3 winners over the Tigers. Snooze You Lose pick of the week will surely add sports entertainment fun, especially when you can add more coin to your purse. So check out Snooze You Lose podcast with Uncle Joe, the Black Bookie. That's how we get it done.
Back-to-back weeks he's hit. Back-to-back weeks.
Okay, well, now we got the bills paid, so we can.
Now we go to the All-Star game here.
Now we can go to the All-Star game. Casey, you know what? I'll let you drive this. What do you want to talk about All-Star game? Let's rock.
All right, so I got a question as overall All-Star, not just baseball All-Star game, All-Star for like, you know, little games, home run derby, stuff like that. So out of all the sports, right, they all have the Pro Bowl, All-Star weekend, stuff like that. What is your favorite one, would you say, that you, like I said, if you're, you know, out and about and say, oh, something's on tonight, let me get home before 9 o'clock so I can make sure I see this, right? Like a pay-per-view for wrestling and stuff like that. What's an event out of all the All-Star stuff that is what you feel? Home run derby, 3-point, slam dunk, etc.
Knock it out, Keith. You can go.
What is
first-
TV?
It's like right now, used to be when I was younger, my younger self, it used to be the slam dunk contest.
Me too, until they started missing all their slam dunks.
Yes.
It's no fun anymore. It's like
Yes.
make a dunk, somebody.
Yes. And now it became more of the 3-point shootout.
Same with
To me, it's more the 3-point shootout.
Yep.
The 3-point shootout for me would probably be first, then the home run contest. If I be up that late, the home run contest, because sometimes that can drag on a long time.
I don't think I like the format of the home run contest. It's too, the problem is like a lot of times, like whoever finishes like first going into the final round, they tire themselves out because they hit so many home runs, and then they would go to the final and lose it. And it's like, I don't know. It should just be a total of like, I remember the All-Star or the home run contest like in the 90s with like Ken Griffey Jr. and things. It seemed like they just did it differently, and it was just more, I don't know, like the way it should be. And then it got to be, well, we have all these rounds and this or that. And I don't know. It's kind of lost interest because there's too many. I hate to say this, but there's too many home runs in the home run hitting contest now because there's too many rounds and things like that. So
yeah, it is. It's
kind of
drawn
boring.
out.
It's boring. It's boring. After a while, back, boring. Back, boring. I'm sorry.
Do you think that sports gambling being legalized in a couple, a fourth of the states, do you think that gets more viewership on these things though? On
Yes.
Events like the home run derby, like the slam dunk,
Yes.
stuff like that.
Yes.
Right. So that I think is a huge drive with this, which also leads to DraftKings Sportsbook everywhere. Things like that. What's also interesting is the other sports, except for baseball, kind of have more than one activity, right?
Yeah.
So the people who participate in, the Pro Bowl, the quarterback skills challenge, relay race, stuff like that, dodgeball. You got basketballs, you got the slam dunk, you got the skills challenge, you got all these different kind of things, right? You don't have that for baseball. You're either a home run hitter or you're just playing in the All-Star game, right? Pitchers don't really get extra time, things like that. So I think All-Star weekend in the NBA is, this is a fun weekend. I'm looking forward to it, right? I'm okay with missing 5 days of Cavs games, right? But for baseball, I'm more pissed I have to miss a week of Guardians games, right? Over like having the All-Star game.
I'm
Is that just me or
no? I'm with you on that because besides like I do like watching the All-Star game itself, and I do like tuning in to see some of the festivities. But there is a time during the week that I'm wishing that it's like I am missing regular season games, and you get so used to and accustomed to it. Like even if I'm not watching a Guardians game, it's on in the background. It's background noise. It's something that for a couple of days that my life has been interrupted. I know that's a first world problem and everything. Heaven forbid. But no, I know what you're saying, Casey. It becomes habit. It becomes a routine and things like that. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. I feel that.
Yeah, I can share All-Star memory with y'all.
Yeah,
I went to an All-Star game back at the old stadium.
81?
Yes. My father took me, and we sat in the bleachers, aka the dog pound, the bleachers.
Yeah, right.
And that was the year when Large Lenny Barker was a representative of the Indians for the All-Star team. And that was the year he pitched a perfect game.
Yep.
The year he pitched a perfect game, the year they went on strike, it was like everything in the one in that year. And they split the season into 2 different seasons.
Well, because wasn't the All-Star game like in August or so? It was later on that year.
It was August the 8th.
Yep.
August the 8th. And it just came back and settled the strike. And the crazy part about it, that All-Star game was the night after they played an exhibition football game at the stadium.
Wow.
The Browns played the Steelers.
Wow. I remember that game because I tweeted this out. Check out at in Columbus. But on 4th of July, I put out a tweet, and Rocco Scotti used to sing the national anthem at the stadium. He sang the national anthem for that All-Star game, and it showed like I think Vice President Bush was there, and it showed like all the dignitaries and all the dignitaries, and they were amazed. Check out that. So check out Rocco Scotti if you haven't on YouTube. He was one of the greatest opera / whatever singer, but man, could he sing the national anthem? He was one of Cleveland's own, so check that out. But
yes, and I want to say Lynn Barker pitched like 2 scoreless innings in that game, and they had I was about to say the Guardians. The Indians at that time had Bo Diaz represent them too.
Oh, yeah.
in the All-Star game.
Yeah, I always say this: going to Municipal Stadium, we were social distancing before that was a thing. You'd have 5,000 people in a 70,000 thing. So when COVID came around, we knew what to do in Cleveland.
Exactly. Yeah. You could sit in the upper deck in the first inning and be in the box seats by the fifth.
That's right, brother. That's right. We were there. That's right.
Yes.
Right. Nobody said anything as long as you made noise. So it was always
exactly. Exactly.
Speaking of football, I have a question that's interesting. I think for me and Ed, we haven't talked football that much because the season's not.
Well, let's talk. We got NFL news. I got the ticker down running there, so Peyton Vince can't get mad at me. Let's talk football then. Let's move on, Casey.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right.
So I was listening to the radio around 1 a.m, which is a weird thing. ESPN radio, 1 a.m. Home from work, right?
You degenerate, you.
Freddie and Fitzsimmons is on, right? So they had some questions about something. So one question I thought was a good one was top 3 quarterbacks in the NFC, right? Who do you think the top 3 quarterbacks are in the NFC?
Ooh.
Now, Jalen Hurts, I think all 3 of us can agree, is top 3 in the NFC, right? So that's a given, but the other 2 spots, is it even a clear second and third?
Man, I was just about to say that. It's Jalen Hurts and the rest.
Exactly. So, can
I just say San Francisco quarterback and insert whoever because I believe in their
system.
Yeah, the system.
That's an interesting one. I mean, if you look at
you want me to say Dak, you just the only reason you're bringing this up is because you want to slander Dak Prescott. Just say it. Just say it.
If you would like, I could run through real quick here, and it could be yes or no. Is this the top 3 quarterback? Go through the NFC teams real fast for us. Okay. Ready? Arizona Cardinals.
Yep.
No. Falcons.
No.
Nope. Panthers.
No.
Not yet.
Not yet. Anyway.
Justin Fields.
No.
He's a buck of it. No, he's a good rate.
But I will tell people this: pick that dude up in fantasy, though.
Yes, that's right.
Pick him up in fantasy.
That's right.
I agree. That's true. Top 3 in fantasy, maybe.
Right. Right.
Yes.
As Ed stated, Dak Prescott and the Cowboys.
You might, Casey. Damn it! You might have to do it. You might have to. You know what? I know what it's coming down to. It's coming down to Dak.
I can skip.
Say it.
I'll skip Dak. We'll go back later. Okay. Detroit Lions. Jared Goff.
No. But he's close in that neighborhood in the NFC.
Is he better than Kirk Cousins? I don't see. That's what it's gonna.
Jordan Love.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know enough about him.
Nobody knows.
Matthew Stafford.
Is he injured again?
If he's healthy, he's one of the top quarterbacks in the NFC. If he's healthy,
I don't know if he'll ever be what he was though because of his injuries. So, and that team isn't as good as it used to be. So he'll never be top 3 again, but maybe top 5. I mean,
again, all right. So then Kirk Cousins is next.
His numbers don't lie though.
But you see here, it's not even a clear-cut 2, 3. Like
right.
These dudes could be 3 or they could be 8.
It's like you just got number 1 Jalen Hurts at the top, and everybody else is just piled on behind him.
And then you've got Derek Carr, on the Saints, right? He's there.
Keith, you know what he's doing to us right now? He's taking all the he's taking all the 1980s Indians teams and saying which one was better because this one only lost 100 games compared to 98. That's what you're doing, Casey.
I'm telling you that. Daniel Jones, Geno Smith.
He had a career year last year.
The Baker Mayfield.
I plead the 5th.
I'm just saying. That's the thing. So the NFC, does that mean that it's the Eagles to take?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And look what the power of one player is there. You know what I mean?
But their defense is pretty good.
You put Baker Mayfield on, you think that they'd be
No.
On the Eagles?
Who, the Eagles? No.
No.
There
Baker
you
had
go.
just as
No,
much
but
talent here.
it's more of an indictment on Baker than it is.
Right.
Geno Smith.
Yes, I think they could compete.
Philly
again.
could
I
be
don't know.
tough with Geno Smith.
Yeah, I think they would be okay. Yeah,
Because the play style.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess this will.
I know what you're trying to do, and I will bash Baker if I have to. Then fine, make me do it. Fine.
I like Baker. I have nothing against Baker Mayfield.
You are Baker.
Yeah, nothing against them. I'm telling you.
It's not
But
a
so, I got another question that's in the NFL too. That it's a little easier now, I think, because in the NBA, I'm sure you guys saw Popovich got his extension.
Yes.
4 years, I believe, so 5 in total with what he has.
5 years.
Who do
Yeah.
you think, if you had to put 1, 2, 3, right? Who's going to retire sooner? As one, I'm going to give you Bill Belichick, Nick Saban, and Greg Popovich. Who do you think retires first, second, and third?
Might be Nick Saban retire first, because he's getting tired of the new rules in college football as far as the NIL or whatnot, and especially if Alabama don't pay money.
Anymore. Exactly. They don't have. Yep, that's the issue with that. So Nick Saban is, how old he is here to give a sense of the.
I mean, they're too
They're
young
like-
to run. They're still too young to run for president. I hear.
Yeah, Saban
Correct.
is 71. 71.
Yeah,
is
he's
Nick
too
Saban.
young. Too young. He's too young.
You've got Bill Belichick
He's like 70.
is
I would say he'll probably be
70.
number 2. Yeah.
71 is Bill Belichick.
Okay.
Same
okay.
age. And then
Just-
How old?
Popovich.
No, Popovich. He's 70s, right? Or 60s.
He's like
something.
74 or something like that. 73.
Popovich 73.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he'll be 78 at the end of that.
They got to wait till 2028 to run for president.
Right.
Yeah.
And
That's
Popovich
crazy, though.
just
Think
signed
about
on.
Yeah, so it's not going to be Pop. I think you're right. I think it's Saban, Belichick, Popovich. If I
Yep.
had to,
How soon?
you looking
If
for a
New
job,
England-
Casey? You looking for a job?
Bill
Yeah.
might lose his by default if New England doesn't win this year.
You think that they'd fire him? You think it'd be like a Peyton Manning trading away type thing, or
I mean, he's
You
got to
know
get
how
that
you never
record
thought
though,
of
right?
that.
For wins over Shula. How many's he away from? I mean,
He's
'cause
not
that's-
that far.
I know. I don't know how many seasons it's going to take, but I know that's the record that Don Shula, 326 wins or something. I believe something like
Yes.
that. You
as
know,
many
so-
as you have, isn't it?
Oh
in
yeah,
Little League?
I'm like 5 Bills already, Casey.
And you know, Bobby Kraft want to win. He want to win again.
Yeah, he does.
He's 328, and Belichick's at 298.
Oh wow.
Hmm. I don't
So
know.
what, that's if you get 3 more years. I don't know. That's a shit. Actually, how many wins do you think? Yeah,
I know that's the thing with Mac Jones as your quarterback. I
I was about to say, yeah, with Matt Jones as your quarterback, and now you got to go against Josh Allen, Tua Tagovailoa if he's healthy, and Aaron Rodgers. Oof.
Yeah, you say best case scenario. Best case 10 wins.
So he's got to coach at
Let's
least
just
5
say-
more years probably.
If you just say 10 wins, they hit 10 wins a season there. That puts them at 4 years away.
I'd say so. He's probably got 5 years. I know that's kind of
See,
Yeah.
that's a good point you made there, because you don't think about that, like, because he's
yeah.
currently in third. He's
Okay.
20 games back from George Hallis.
Okay, well,
And I don't think Bobby Kraft want to wait that long.
no,
And
I don't
Andy
think Bobby
Reid.
Kraft's got that long.
Andy
Exactly.
Reid's at 247.
Okay.
So, I mean, Reid could even sneak up there because he's not that. I don't think he's nearly as old as the other 3.
No, I think he's like
Well-
60 something, like 64 or
Yeah.
something like that, 64, 65. And he got the cheat code and Pat Mahomes.
That's what I'm saying.
That's 12 wins every year.
Exactly. So,
At
and he's on the
least.
fast track. Reid
Right.
65, yeah. So,
Well, okay. Well, speaking of the NFL, since and everything, well, I know we went to NBA, but I'll go back to the NFL real quick because I wanted to talk about the Browns revamping their offense for Deshaun Watson. How good do you guys right now? Would you say how good is the Browns offense going to be?
Potentially, on paper,
On paper, okay.
Because we're the paper champions here.
Every year we do this.
Every year, from
year.
March to July, we do this every year. But potentially,
and get the hopes
they can be, they can be very good potentially.
Okay.
If Kevin lets Deshaun do his thing and doesn't overthink things, they potentially can be very good on offense. But also, one thing with the Browns, Deshaun don't even have to be Houston Deshaun.
Yeah, I know. Right.
If you really think about it with this team, all he got to do is be Houston Deshaun for maybe 3/4 of the game. And if the Browns got the lead in the fourth,
Chubb time. It's Chubb time.
It's Chubb time. Now, one thing I'm kind of shaky on the fact that Chubb doesn't have a substantial backup.
Yeah.
They're high on Jerome Ford.
Yeah, they are, but
I'm not saying that I am, but I'm saying they are.
I'm not going to say that I am, and I think Jerome Ford got a lot of potential, but I would rather have another veteran back there just in case. Because besides last year, the last couple of years before last year, Chubb has been known to miss games.
Well, that's the thing. You're going to need a third guy anyways because
yes.
Would you have kept Hunt?
I mean, it's not my money. It's not my money. So,
well, no one's giving him any money right now. But
I mean, okay. Question: who would you rather have, D Hop or Hunt?
Ooh. I'd rather have D Hop.
I would agree with that.
I'd rather have D Hop.
I can give you the opposite, devil's advocate of this.
We'll do that, Casey.
Okay.
Do
Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham was a big name that we got. We thought we had a pretty solid receiving group. We had Landry already. He's solid. You get his best bud, right? Oh, they're best friends. They're going to be doing great together. What happened?
Who was his quarterback again, Casey?
I was just about to say that.
Baker Mayfield. But who says that season Baker Mayfield's prime, right? That one season where he was great until he got hurt. Right? Let's you say that is the Watson we get though. Do I think? I don't know what we're getting. Are we getting, like you said, Houston Watson? Or are we getting
I'll take Clemson Watson at this point.
Right.
I'm just saying. That's the tricky question though. What?
Honestly, I'll take the Watson in the second half of the Browns-Washington game last year. Yeah. I'll take that Watson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who knows, right? So that's the thing about that. I don't know. I like Watson and I like Hopkins too. I think he would be good, but that OBJ is just right here, back of the head.
I think it's all Browns fans. I think that we're kind of a little bit hesitant because we get these big names thinking they come to Cleveland and they don't.
Your favorite player, Dwayne Bowe.
He's not my favorite player.
Oh, wow. But I will say this. The difference is with the Hopkins and Odell is just like what Ed just said, the quarterback.
Yeah.
Where Hopkins has a tight rapport with Deshaun Watson already. Where it never came about with Baker and Odell for some reason.
They never played together before that, up until that point. So we've seen results on an NFL playing field with Hopkins and Watson. And I think when it comes down to Casey and a lot of Browns fans, it's with Watson. It's like, do you believe the last 6 games, was it just rust last year? Or do you believe that he just forgot how to play football? I think it's somewhere in between. I don't think he
playing both.
Exactly. So
in the past, right? We have the past in the back of our head, right? So who says that just because we're always burnt, if it happened on a different team, would we feel the same way?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point.
Sadly,
our defense is going to be so good, Casey. Our defense is going to be so good with all the guys, Zaire Smith and everybody, Zadarius Smith, I should say.
And in Columbus in the stands.
I'll be in the stands rooting, hollering. I mean, with Keith and the dog pound, there's no way we lose.
Oh, yes. Yes. Only thing I'm concerned with on the defense is the linebacking situation. Because most of the linebackers are coming back off serious injuries.
Yeah.
Taki with the ACL, he's going to be praying, hoping that he doesn't get hurt again. Really, for a lot of them, Walker too. Anthony
takes
Walker.
about a year after something like that.
Yeah.
Because mentally to make so we'll see. I just
And Phillips coming off an injury too. That just shows how bad our defensive line was last year.
I think with the addition of our new defensive coordinator, I think that's going to make all the difference in the world.
And Clowney didn't do anything last year. I'd be shocked if the guys we got to replace him do worse than how he did last year.
Yeah. Oh, it's a whole different mode this year. It's a whole different mode. You know, you got Schwartz, and Schwartz going to put them guys ready to kill out there on the field.
Yeah. and Anthony Schwartz, Ed, your other favorite player on the Browns.
You know, I'll say one thing. I'll say one thing about Anthony Schwartz. That touchdown that he caught in Green Bay on Christmas Day almost made me not.
Christmas miracle.
Yeah, it was a goal. It was a Christmas miracle. You know what? I'll leave it at that. I don't even want to say what I'm going to say because it ruined my Christmas and bah humbug. How about that? But
Anthony Schwartz probably be a guest on this show.
Exactly.
After the season,
Anthony Schwartz, you are welcomed anytime on the show. We could talk about roller coasters. He's big into roller coasters. We talk about Cedar Point, but if I don't talk about this, I'm going to jump back to the NBA. Victor Wembanyama, mentioned him in Breakhead News with the slap of Britney Spears and everything. But let's talk about his on court. His first game wasn't exactly the greatest. He missed a lot, but his second game put up a lot of points. Was very efficient. So, what are your thoughts on Victor? We'll start with you, Keith.
Victor. I'm just going to say this. If he's going to be a problem, if he can get stronger, he is going to be a problem.
Titan Nutrition. Casey, show him the guns. We got something for Victor. There you go. We got Titan Nutrition.
He is going to be a problem because dude can hit. He can hit shots from anywhere.
Yeah, he can.
And he single-handedly brought San Antonio back. Because they was getting blown out.
We talked about before on the show the San Antonio Spurs roster, how poor it is, and the lack of support. Let alone the San Antonio Spurs Summer League roster, I'm sure, step below too. So that's the tricky thing. Like we've talked. Do we think that if Victor, after 2 games, even we could talk about this? Do we think he's gonna? Like, if he fails, right, who do we blame? Is it going to be him and his skill not translating to the NBA? Or would it be the San Antonio Spurs not putting him in the right spot, setting him up for success with not having guys around him that are actual true NBA, like, players on the other team?
Yeah.
It's going to be a little bit of both. But I don't think he's going to fail. I think the league got him propped to be the next guy.
And if he succeeds, then who is to is it the Spurs' good job because of Pop in the system and has happened in the past, or is it Victor, being Victor?
I think it's gonna be Victor being Victor because I look at the way he plays, and I don't know. Like I think he's gonna be successful wherever he plays because to Keith's point, he can make a shot anywhere on the court. So it's not like, he's a big man that needs to be in a certain type of system to score. He's because look, his rebounding, his assists and everything, that's just natural instinct for him to be able to make the passes that he does and be able to shoot the way that he does. So I think it's going to be Victor being Victor. But to your point, I think when Tim Duncan got drafted by the Spurs, I knew they were going to win championships. I had that feeling because they already had David Robinson. That what I'm saying. And I look at Victor being on the Spurs. And I think he's going to be a great player, but I don't know if that's necessarily going to translate into championships like I would have said for the other Twin Towers kind of thing. So I think that's the only difference about this Victor situation is I think nonetheless, I think he's going to be a great player, but I don't think that equates into actually winning. I think the Spurs are going to have to do some roster manipulation and get some other – they're basically going to have to suck for the next 2 to 3 years and get some real talent in there or maybe some potential, young guys in there that they can build with.
Look at Durant, right, and look at LeBron, right? Those are the 2 guys that are at the hype level that he's at right now in the teams that they had when they started in the NBA, right, to where they ended up in the teams they had later in their career.
Yeah.
Right? So it's you look at that, they're getting the number 1 pick for a reason.
Yeah.
The team that these players are going on. So it kind of puts them in a tough spot. Like Anthony Davis even, right, on the Pelicans when he was there. Like he was huge, right? He wasn't almost on level, but Ben Simmons, you know what I mean? But no one's been that minus 20,000 favorite to go number one.
Well, when you guys pick, when we
however,
like sports, pick me number one. Casey, I'm gonna get you a ring. Keith, I'm gonna get you a ring. I promise you guys that.
you think so?
I know so. I know so.
No doubt.
No doubt. That's how we do.
Do you think that like your boy Bronny, your big Bron James fan, Bronny, his son, where do you think you think he's gonna get drafted in the lottery? Do you think what are we expecting? Do you think he's gonna get drafted? Because I mean, he's not at the hype that
Right.
that Victor's getting per se, but when he's going into that draft, it's gonna be huge because of LeBron, where's LeBron, etc. So what do you think on that?
A lot depends on how he plays this year.
Yeah,
USC.
Yeah.
A lot depends on how he plays. And USC is box office this year. You're going to probably see them all season long.
Snoop Dogg will be
DJ
there.
Wagner
It'll
as
be like
well.
USC.
Everybody will be there.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at
Correct.
Ohio State, like Bryce Sensabaugh and things like that. That got picked like 17th, 18th over. You look at some of the Buckeyes that the cat that got picked 2 years ago went like number 20 or whatever. I mean, I could see Bronny. If you're a team, okay, why wait to pick 17 or 18? Why not pick him in the lottery at like 14 or whatever like that? Because like I said, he's going to sell jerseys. He's going to, basically the NBA draft from player 6 on is a crapshoot anyways. So
Correct.
Why not just take the guy
with a few possibilities.
Yeah. And then you might get LeBron for a year then too. Who
Exactly.
knows?
So perfect. Speaking of that, LeBron, do you think that LeBron and Bronny play together before LeBron retires?
Probably not, but I wouldn't rule it out. I see LeBron being a Laker till he retired. I do.
Me too.
I think probably not then.
Yeah, probably not. But
you could see the Lakers though if they are at 20.
Right. Why not? Exactly. Yeah.
And he falls to 12.
Yeah.
Why would they not trade up for him?
I agree.
So unless he's a stud, he's a true stud. And even if LeBron ends up wherever the hell he ends up when Bronny's getting drafted, why would you not try to trade up?
Exactly right. It might be easier if Bronny's actually not a stud to get him.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, correct.
True.
Yeah.
True.
And he might even put up like what's reasonable for his numbers. Okay, so I think isn't that DJ Wagner that was supposed to be a top pick? Yep. He's on USC too. So it's not like you got Bronny and just dudes like around them. They've got studs around him, right? So it's not just a one man.
If he has high assists, to me, it's not necessarily his points. It's how well he plays with USC and how well they do.
Yes.
But if he's putting up major assists and they're scoring, another guy like DJ Wagner is doing the scoring, I think that only helps his draft stock, obviously.
Yes, it does.
Well, that means they're successful then.
Yeah. So I don't think necessarily it's the points per game. It'd be nice. Obviously you want to finish over, double digits in points. I get that, but I don't think you don't have to average 22, 23 points a game. I don't think that.
Especially in college, all you really got to do is average about 12 or 15.
Exactly.
And you'll be a lottery pick.
Right. Exactly. So Casey, there's a chance for you. Get those 10 points on your little Tykes basketball hoop, and you may get drafted.
Watch out for my hook shot.
Or maybe in the pool, get the hoop in the pool.
Yeah, the pool. Yeah, at Kalahari. Yeah, the Kalahari. But so I have one more NBA question that I thought of too. Joel Embiid, do you think that he wins the championship with the Sixers?
No.
If not, what do you think he does then? Because what other player in history?
He'll go down to Miami. Miami Heat.
What other player in history is like in the situation, right? MVP, center, big man that kind of runs like the best in the league, right? One MVP. And they're getting to the playoffs. They're getting deep in the playoffs. They just can't make it to the finals and win it, right? So has it happened that most players like Anthony Davis, with the Hornets, the Pelicans made it to the first round at the best, right? So there's players like that left, but they weren't having success. That they're so close, but so far away.
And you got to think Philadelphia done had some real heartbreakers in the second round. The last shot by Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
Then this past season, against Boston, where they had Boston on the ropes, and then Jason Tatum just said, "Well, damn, if y'all don't want to win it, well,
yeah, y'all don't want
let
it.
me
I'll
take it. I'll take it." So
I think it'll be the usual suspects, though, like a Miami, a Phoenix, a Lakers, or somebody down the road that would. Because let's be real, Joel Embiid, if he leaves Philadelphia, he's not going to go to another Colt. He's not going to go to Milwaukee. He's not going to Cleveland. He's not going to. It's all the usual sus. Or you know what I'm saying?
Andrew Bynum came to us, and they were the same number. What?
But he got traded to us. So
Casey, mention his name again, and we're gonna.
That is what I didn't mention last time when you kicked me off. I didn't mention
and check
Andrew
out,
Bynum.
and Andrew Bynum ain't in the same paragraph as Joel Embiid.
Yeah. Well, Casey likes to test me every week. Keith, that's one thing about Casey. He likes to throw out these names just to, and I don't even know why it bothers me at this point. We all had to suffer through the bad tab seasons that he's listing these players for. But I don't know. Just when he says it, maybe it's that Baker Mayfield in him or something kind of look that he just loves to incense. And yeah, Casey. So no more Andrew Bynum. I will say one thing though, when they signed him, I thought that was a good signing. I thought why not take a shot? And
I agree with you.
It's just
I totally forgot he was on the Cavs. To be honest,
yeah. A couple more questions.
Something?
Couple more before we end the show. But I wanted to talk about Zion Williamson because reports came out that he doesn't want to develop a floater or basically a jump shot from. What are your thoughts on Zion and everything? Because I think if you're a Pelicans fan or you got to kind of be getting sick of his act and realizing that maybe he doesn't want to be there. But when he's on the court, the talent's still there. When he's on the court, he may eat his way out of the league. I don't know.
And mentally,
yeah, mentally. So what are your thoughts, Casey? We'll start with you about Zion because I don't know.
I mean, he plays. They're pretty tough.
I know.
Like when they had him, they got Ingram. They had McCollum. They've got Alvarado. They got some guys. Is Valanciunas? Is it he or no?
Yeah.
Someone. I think he's. They got
Why not?
I'm thinking. I thought he is, but they got some pretty good players that they just don't. When Zion's they're not healthy. McCollum's hurt for a little bit. Ingram's hurt for a little bit. When they had those three guys playing last year, they were good.
Yeah.
They were scary, right? They could have been. Who says not the Cavs of the Western Conference? Right. That team you don't really expect them the 3 and 4 seed up there. That surprisingly won 50 games. That's just kind of going on the radar. One of the top teams like the Suns, the Lakers, teams like them that just have the spotlight all the time.
Yep. Keith, what are your thoughts on Zion before we end the show?
I say that when Zion plays, last year when he played, New Orleans was at the top of the West.
Yeah.
And when he doesn't play, it's a whole different team. I would say if Zion can play 65 games next year, New Orleans will be a player in the Western Conference. If he can play 65.
Okay.
If he can play 65 and can be healthy through the playoff run, New Orleans will be a tough out in the playoffs.
Okay. Well, like I said, I hope for the league's sakes and everything like that. I mean, I know with the Zion Williamson and stuff that he's been going through, it's easy for jokes and everything. But as a player and as a an NBA fan, I'd like to see him do well because it's better for us fans in the NBA that we love so much. So, all right. Well, I guess I want to end the show this way before Casey decides that he's going to ask a few thousand more questions. Give me something that you're thinking about sports wise or anything this with the All-Star game or anything, the second half and outlook, or just give me a sports take that doesn't suck. Casey, you can go first.
No, Keith can go first.
All right. Well, obviously he's passing because Casey doesn't have anything right now.
Okay. I'll say this in the second half of the season, I would like the Guardians to bring up Gonzalez, put him in right field.
Okay.
I love Miles Straw out in center field, but his bat leaves little to be desired. He should be the fourth outfielder, and they can decide between Quan and Brennan in center. And Miles Straw could be a late inning defensive replacement or a pinch runner.
I love that take.
So you read my mind, but I'm on the opposite end of that. My question has been forever. I keep forgetting to ask it the last 2 months. I've had this on my mind, so I'm glad you brought this up.
He has to ask another question.
This is you must have read my mind, Keith. I don't understand why Guardians fans don't like Miles Straw so much. He's hitting like 240. He's so strong defensively. People hate that he hits those little infield singles that he outruns them, but he outruns them. He can run the base as well. A first or third single. A first to home double that's is stretched out. Like I think he plays. I don't know, man. I don't see the positive replacement overtaking him out of it.
Casey,
Like,
what does Ed in Columbus,
man.
Casey, and Keith Allen have in common with Miles Straw? We all have the same
Strong-
number of home runs.
Strong
That's
feeling.
my
about it.
zero.
It's like,
That's my problem. Like it's in Major League Baseball. I'm sorry, but you have to hit at least one home run a year, or to me, you shouldn't be in Major League Baseball. I'm sorry.
I don't know, man.
I'm
And
sorry.
also, I'm gonna tell you this: I don't think the fans hate Miles Straw.
Right.
It's the fact where with the Guardians, they lineup is bad enough for real, for real.
But they could
If you
be so
look at
good
it-
if they're all on. Like
Casey,
if
they
you-
hate Ahmed Rosario even more. To make you
It's
feel
You
better.
look at that, but you look at that high potential that they all have. If Jimenez is on, like hitting the 290 like he does, if Naylor's hitting the way he is, Ramirez is doing his thing, Kwan's hitting high 200s, right? Rosario at the end just pulls up. Like if they're all hot at the same time, if Bo Naylor becomes the prophecy that Ed in Columbus wishes he is, I mean, you just it's Gonzalez comes up against that power that you need. Right,
And
if they're all on, they have the potential to do it all.
And I'll say this: like you put Miles Straw in Toronto's lineup, you won't even notice that he's batting 238
Right.
because they got hitters all through that lineup. You put Miles Straw even in Minnesota's lineup, because Minnesota hits the ball a little bit better than us, especially if Buxton is healthy. You put him in like a lot of lineups in like Texas, it wouldn't be such a glaring problem.
I mean, even for the Columbus Clippers, he wouldn't look that bad.
I mean, his batting average the first year he was on the team was 285. So his career batting
we're a
average
long
is
way
up.
from that first year.
Casey, on next week's show,
His career's
Casey's
240.
getting a Miles Straw tattoo, and we'll be showing. on the show
Uh-oh.
next week.
Howdy, man. I just don't get to hate on Miles Straw. You can't have studs at every position in Cleveland. I think he's a
It ain't
You know,
it ain't no
good guy.
hate. Like I said, he can come in the late innings, play in the outfield, make a few plays or a pinch runner because he got speed. I'll give him that. But when it come in October, they're going to need to score more than 2 runs.
Yeah, that's the issue. That in October, it's about situational baseball
yeah,
and
well,
hitting.
Miles Straw is not the one holding him back from scoring 3 or 4.
Well, let's just throw out his contract that he signed that 5-year deal a couple years ago, and let's just give him like Shohei Ohtani money because that's what Casey wants to do.
Oh, no.
I'm just saying we ain't getting a better replacement. I don't
Casey-
think that we are.
Casey, give us a hot take that doesn't involve Miles Straw and doesn't bash Ed in Columbus.
Okay, well, give me 2 seconds. I
Okay.
found a picture, and I gotta get the exact.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I'm scared about this one. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
This
All right,
should
so
be
you're
a
not going
treat.
to see me until after I ask this question, but
Okay.
I want you to try to guess this. I'll
Okay.
give you some hints if you need.
Fair enough.
The highest WAR, the wins above replacement in the MLB since 2017.
Mm.
Who are the top 4? The first one's got 39.1. The second has 38.7. The third has 37.8, and the fourth is 37.5.
Is one of them Jose Ramirez?
Yes. Which slot do you think?
3.
Wrong.
1.
He is 4.
4. Darn it. Okay.
All right. So
Okay.
who do you think the other 3 are?
Okay. Jeez.
Now you got to think like they have to play a decent amount of games, right?
Yeah.
To have a high WAR. Okay? So around the 40s.
It's not Ohtani, is it?
No.
Because it's 2017. So you're going. I mean, there's years in there. Oh, God.
2017?
I know that's what
Aaron
I'm saying.
Judge?
Judge. Yep. Aaron
Judge.
Judge. What do you think he's at?
2. 1. He's 1.
1.
So Judge is the highest WAR replacement. Yep. So then you've got
Jose
Trout?
Altuve?
no. Trout is 3.
Charles 3. Okay, so we're missing 1. We're missing 1.
Yep. Who is 2?
2.
Lindor?
No.
Altuve?
Give us an AL or NL.
Okay, well, he's been in both.
Oh, darn it. Jeez.
Oh, shoot.
All right, so he's on the move. Okay, this guy, he's so good. He's on the move.
He's
All
on the
right.
move.
Yeah.
He's on the move.
2017.
He is in the National at the
Now.
moment.
Okay.
Ooh. Ooh.
Dump the Schwab
Yes.
right here.
Oh, wow. Infield or outfield?
He can play both.
Schwarber?
No.
Chris
Is it a-
Bryant?
Is it a Dodger? It is a Dodger. Oh, God, I figured it was.
Oh, Mookie
Freeman.
Betts?
Mookie Betts.
Dang. Mookie Betts. So it's Judge, Betts, Trout, Jose. Now my thing about this was, if you went to LA, right? We went to New York, and we asked the same question, and we said, "All right, podcast based there.
Yeah.
Name the top 4 in WAR in the last 6-7 years, right?
Nobody
Do
would
you
name
think
him.
Any chance that Jose Ramirez would be in that conversation?
Nope.
Exactly.
Nope.
And that's
I
when
don't think
Jose
so.
really started to take off, too. In
That's what I'm saying,
2017.
so-
Yeah.
Think about that. Like the fact that
Wow.
we guessed, you two guessed those relatively quickly, right? The second one you guys got pretty quick. I don't think Ramirez would be someone people would think of.
Yeah, that's fair.
A lot of
Which is-
people
which
would have
is
said Lindor
Yeah.
before Ramirez.
And if you look at the contract that Ramirez has too, in
Yeah.
comparison to those guys that are even probably beneath him, right? That are making more than him. That's the crazy thing about it.
So Casey's hot take is, once again, the Guardians are getting a steal in Jose Ramirez. I totally agree with that one.
I agree with that, too.
He's a Casey coming up with hot takes. Hot takes, Casey. I love it. My hot take is we'll be back next week. Check it out. 5:30 to 6:30. But no, seriously, I do think the Guardians will win the AL Central. I don't know how much of a hot take that really is. And also, the Browns will win the division for the first time in 34 years. If Roman Reigns can get pinned after 3.5 years, why not the Browns winning a division since '89? So those are my hot takes. And the Cavs, I don't even really know much to say about them, because I think they're going to win 50 games. And then come playoff time, I think they're going to make us cry again. So, but that's what I got with that. But I think it's been a great show. Thanks to our guest, Jeff Fletcher from SoCal and the Angels beat writer. Thanks to Keith for hopping on. He's one of our regulars now on the We Like Sports show.
Thank you.
Writes for us.
Thank you.
Check him out. He went to a Rubber Ducks game, and so check out him. Check him out on Twitter. Where can they find you, Keith, on Twitter?
On K_Allen529 on Twitter. Hold on for a second.
Underscore in Columbus. Is it K_in Columbus?
No, I'm in Cleveland, actually.
That's where I'm from.
Nothing wrong with that, Casey, if he was. Okay. If he was. But
I'm in
Casey,
Cleveland.
yeah, that's right. Well, I might be. But Casey, where can they find you on Twitter real quick?
CASEYKOTONSKI.
Yes.
Okay, K_Allen569.
All right. Check them out. Check us out next week. We had a great show, and see you when we see you. Peace. And also too, Casey, the Ed sign is this way. Make sure. There you go. No, other finger, because we got the audience here. Yeah, that one. Make the E with that one. No, that's the D. Make it E with that one. There you go. And then it's on that side. Okay, well, there you go. Enough of that. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, till next week. Peace.
I see it now. There we go. We're good. Yeah, look at that.